Are there going to be any Hess shows coming up in the near future?
Currently, we're working really hard to make a show happen for, let's say, November or December 2023. Most likely New Jersey, because that's where Hess is.
Sure.
This past year, I did have Hess confirmed to be a guest. This past year has been difficult for a lot of people, so it just didn't happen. But one of the reasons why I'm doing like this outreach is so you guys can get the word going, get that momentum going. I'll always announce it in videos and the newsletter and whatnot. So again, it's for the fans, by the fans, but we've, the first meetup that myself, James, and Frank did many years ago, we had 6 of them. And every year it just kept getting better and better. And then it was a combination of a 1-2 punch between our promoter having died and then the COVID. So it's been a couple of years with So we're really looking forward to getting the gang back together and getting some momentum going. So yeah, I'm really gonna try for that again this year. Like I said, this year I had everything working in place. I always joke I'm coming from Florida, so anyone else that's coming to anywhere in the tri-state area, you have no excuse that it's too far from you. No excuses at all.
Being from Florida myself, I'm looking forward to heading up there to the show.
Yes, sir.
Very good. How long have you actually been dealing with the Hess trucks and your websites and Instagrams and everything else?
So Hess Trucks started with me when I was 5 years old, 1977. I have one of 3 memories of my dad before he became terminally ill, and that is taking me to the Hess station on Williamsbridge Road in the Bronx to get me that truck. The next memory I have is in 1993, trying to get the trucks, and my stepdad's brother, Joey, actually got me the 93 patrol car, which I was ecstatic. And then fast forward to about 2006, things were good for me financially. So kind of like you, I started doing a collection and coming up with stuff. And then how it really took off was in 2010, I'm unemployed and I'm at school taking some classes, and I had all the time in the world, and I had Google, right? And Google's like God. I'm like, what do I want to know? So I just started doing research on Hess trucks. I'm like, oh, what about Hess trucks? My dad always got me the Hess trucks. And what I started noticing was everybody had different information about the same trucks. And I quickly realized that all the people that were putting information out there were dealers manipulating the data to sell what they wanted. Sure. So what happened was, for a couple of months, I just kind of cataloged all my information. And then about April or May, at this point, Hess had started making a page on Facebook. And I would ask them questions, and they would come back to me and say, no, that's not possible. And then I would send them a picture. Yeah, it's possible. And then they would reply back, okay, we just really don't know. Okay. So there was this one guy who was posting some information, and he looked like he was, it sounded like he knew what he was doing. So this was James. And I said, hey, can I show you something? He's like, yeah, sure. I sent it to him, and within 5 minutes, he's like, oh my God, you have no idea what you have. You got to get this out there. So we started a Facebook page, the Hess Toy, well, it changed names a few times, but the Hess Toy Truck Collectors Forum, and that grew organically over a couple of years. And then between that and my newsletters, and then I started coming out with the books. And it was really inspiring in the very beginning, because about 70 people got together, each sending me a check for me to self-produce the first book. So it was very expensive.
Cheap, yeah.
No, it was very expensive. But so that was very encouraging. So it kind of grew from there. Sure. So, and then over the last couple of years, basically I've just been maintaining. Unfortunately, a sad truth is, the Hess collector market is, slowly getting smaller as we age, So it is nice. I'm really glad that Hess has been putting out new stuff like the plush to start getting younger people engaged. So that's really, in a nutshell, how I've been involved with it.
No, that's cool. It all of a sudden the years pass by. They really do. After looking at your very cool books, I've noticed some pictures with you and the family periodically. How are the family liking all the Hess information and Hess collections and everything that you're doing?
At first, my wife was annoyed, right? My second,
yeah.
So, I'm brainstorming. I'd be writing on the computer, right? The wife was really annoyed about it, and so one day I was like, look, I'm not smoking, I'm not drinking, I'm not doing drugs, I'm not going out, I'm not partying, I'm home on the computer, leave me alone, let me have fun. My second daughter was born around that time, so I was home. She actually gave me a lot of crap for it, and then one day I finally said to her, when did you finally decide, maybe he's got something here, maybe it's serious? And she was like, well, the night CBS News came over, that changed her mind. And that I actually owe to Hess themselves. For the 50th anniversary, they hooked me up with this guy named Sean, a producer at CBS News. That clip is on the website and the YouTube page and whatever. And it was about the 50th anniversary, and they showcased me, and so that was really cool.
Very good, very good. I like that stuff. I see also in the book that a lot of the old friends that you have in there. Can I mention any names? There's Ray and Juan and Matt Dillon. How long have you been friends with all those guys?
Maybe about 10 years. Ray is actually the first person I met. What was interesting is, in the very beginning, I would find discrepancies on websites, and I would email each website guy and say, hey, listen, you mentioned this truck has this, but somebody else mentions this. The only two guys that ever replied to me was Ray and this guy, Dwayne. Dwayne, it was the collections of D.P. Smith, around for many, many years. He retired a few years ago. But him and Ray were like the two biggest dealers. Ray always got back to me right away with information, and he would answer me, right? So it just so happened that he was going to be in Florida at a timeshare that was right by my house that I actually used to work at. So I was like, really, you're going to be here? So one day I was passing by, like it was literally 10 minutes from me, and I sat down with him. We were in the lobby, and we just shoot the breeze or whatever. Didn't see him again for a couple of years until we started doing the shows. So that was actually how that started. Over the years, and well, now that Ray's retiring, it's kind of gotten a little more smaller at the top, if you will. There's not too many things out there. Not too many people left. Some authorities that have been around a while. What's funny is technically I'm the new kid on the block, right? I've been around, I'm not as older as some of these other guys, but I guess I'm, still what's left, if you will. But keeping the tradition alive. Also, because of social media, we've been able to interact more with Hess themselves, which says a lot. And Juan is a super collector that I know for many years, especially when you need pictures of a certain rare truck, Matt Dillon, again, maybe 9 years, maybe 10. He just started out as a young kid saying, hey, can I help? Or I've got some info. And I'm like, yeah, that has grown. He actually wrote something really nice in the book about me. So it was nice that I was able to, I help the collectors, I help people. Quick funny story, if I may, is that there's a couple other super collectors out there like Mark and Joe and Brett, and I mean, I could just keep going on. There's a bunch of them. But here's what's interesting, if I could share a quick story. In the very beginning, actually this was Mark, in the very beginning, when I came across these collectors that had super collections, whatever, I was very hesitant to ask them if I could have a picture of something. Like, oh, you have this in blue or whatever. Can I have a picture of it? I was very hesitant in the very beginning. If you look back at the old newsletters, it's mostly text, not really a lot of pictures. So one day I'm talking on the phone, good old-fashioned verbal, and I'm like, hey, Mark, can I ask you something? He's like, look, I kind of really need this picture of this 67, red velvet or whatever. He's like, no problem. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I kind of need this and I kind of need that. Because the thing is, if I'm going to ask you to take pictures, I need to have the details, under the wheels, there's a lot of pictures involved. Anyway, so what happened was I was very hesitant. And then when I met him at the very first meetup that we did, I was very apologetic because I didn't, I feel like I'm being, that I'm asking you to, do a lot of work, right? And I'll never forget what he said to me. He goes, no. He goes, you don't understand. Any excuse to take out the trucks. Not a problem. Anything you want. It's a great time. He's like, I'm borrowing my girlfriend's digital 4K camera, which back then was amazing, right? He'd send me these huge files. So that's how it started. Mark, there's another guy, Tom. I'd have to look at the book and see. Steve, there's a lot of people in the very beginning that, again, they were just happy to, take out the toys, play, Not everybody has a great display like this. A lot of times people have it, just in their boxes, in their closets, because especially up north, a lot of times you don't have a lot of space. So that gave me a lot of encouragement. And from that forward, then I had like a list of people. Oh, he has this truck. I need pictures. I need this truck. I need pictures. I could, call you up. Hey, Eddie, I know you have this truck. I need, this here, the super rare truck right here. This one I don't maybe not have pictures yet in the book. I'd probably say, hey, Eddie, would you mind taking some pictures for me? And you might be like, yeah, not a problem. Take it out. Play, take the pictures of the truck. So that was the encouragement I got, and the feedback that I got from a lot of people is like, yeah, sure, anything to play with the trucks. That's how it kind of started. That's what got the ball rolling.
Very cool. We talked briefly earlier about maybe some of the early Hess. Were they always plastic?
Yes.
Always plastic?
Always plastic.
Yeah, that's the new and upcoming from 64. Plastic was the
always
thing.
Plastic.
Yeah.
I think what happens, and I get this question a lot whenever I'm doing a show or a signing or something like that, I'll always get somebody that goes, I remember when they were metal.
Exactly.
I think what happens is, outside of Hess, Texaco makes some great stuff.
Very similar trucks.
There are some similar, like a tanker truck or an airport truck, or there's a gasoline truck. And they were metal. Yeah. So I think that's what people have confused. But as far as Hess themselves, always plastic.
Very good. Is there any one specific Hess truck that is your real favorite?
The Red Velvet 67 Chemicals version, okay? I really like the 95 green chrome, green velvet with the chrome.
Sure.
As far as value goes, I mean, as far as value, I mean, oh, you know what? This one right here, actually, as far as the modern trucks go, I really love the 2003.
Sure.
And this chrome version, I mean, it's shiny.
Yeah,
it's amazing. You almost don't even want to touch it. You know, you like need white gloves. Yeah, I know.
We don't touch it.
We don't touch it. You need white gloves. But so those that have been coming out, as far as the modern trucks go, actually, you know what? I'm gonna upset some people right now. Before I got the '66 Voyager, I had gotten the '62 Texaco North Dakota.
Very familiar with it.
That thing's 28 or 27 and a half inches long.
You got to look around. There's one down there.
I'm sure.
It's in the box. It's pristine.
Oh yeah.
Actually, the mast and all that's still in the wrappers.
Nice. Well, that thing is massive.
Yes, it is.
And I put the batteries in. I have a video. I put it in the pool. It works, right? I got that first. And then when I got the Voyager, I was kind of a little disappointed. You know, it was after this big, gigantic thing, and then
it floats.
It floats. Well, technically, the Voyager floats, too. But
I never tried that.
It does.
That's a little leery.
It does. It does. But, so, yeah, I would say that.
So the way it sounds, if out of your collection, if there was only one Hess truck you got to keep, would it be your 67 Red Velvet Chemicals?
As far as the trucks that are produced, like out of the thing, yeah, that is probably, the 67 Chemicals is probably the rarest and hard to get. So that would be difficult to replace. I'll tell you a funny story, if I may. Around 2009, okay, I'm a banker in New York City during the financial crisis, and then I become unemployed. And at some point, I had to sell some trucks. What was interesting is, it's funny, the more expensive trucks, the ones that you don't really take out of the box or whatever, that I sold them. What was interesting was, after I sold a lot of the rare ones and expensive ones, a lot of the ones that I had left were custom ones or ones that I rebuilt from scratch, right? I got, one of my favorites was the 1970 fire pumper, right? I couldn't spend the $300-400, but somebody had one that needed work, so I did the repro parts. I have to tell you, I had so much fun, enjoyment of rebuilding that 70 pumper that it may not be worth anything to anybody else, but for me, I love that truck. There's so many, I mean, I added LED lights, and this was 10 years ago before Hess ever did anything with LED, right? I put lights in the front, lights in the rear. I took the rotating light, removed it, and I put 3 LEDs that light in sequence.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, I did the wiring, I
nice.
soldered. I mean, I spent a lot of good time on that. That I had so much enjoyment out of, and it cost me $50, where sometimes if a truck like that is too expensive, too valuable, you don't want to touch it.
Nope.
I'm still a little kid at heart. I want to touch it.
Yeah.
I want to touch it.
It's hard to get it out of the box and not play with it.
Yeah. And you don't want to touch it because of the fingerprints or, you know.
Out of all the Hess possible, which one is there that you still want to get a hold of or see or have in your hands or play with or collect?
There's a mystery out there. It's been 10 years. It's like the golden unicorn. It's a McCoy BMAC. There's the Service, the Travelers, the Wilco, the Aetna. I probably have to look at the book to take, but I want to be able to find that one because that would complete the BMAC collection. I've never had a 69 Amarada in my collection. I've seen a couple of really nice ones. As we were talking, we had mentioned earlier, sometimes the truck has to have a real difference. I mean, unless money, you know what, financially, if the money isn't the primary thing, you buy everything, right?
Sure.
But the 95 chrome helicopter with the green velvet,
yes,
that's a beautiful truck. That I always need. I have a spot in the display case that's always going to be held for that.
Yeah, I know the 95, the chrome with the green velvet also came with a white cardboard base. There's no comparison. There's just no comparison with the two.
The funny thing is and I got this from Ray, the white cardboard is actually the rarer of the versions.
That's what I've heard. That's what I heard. And I feel very fortunate. I've got one of each.
Yeah.
So I'm really smiling after, learning a little bit more about this stuff. Because I've only actually been doing this a very short time, and my knowledge hopefully is growing with your book and all the online and posts that I read every day. That hopefully my knowledge is getting a little better with it.
Well, there used to be a lot more. One of the reasons when we first started doing the shows, there have been people that have come up to me. Actually, I'll bring up Mark again. Mark, you spend $2,000-3,000 on a fake truck. You're kind of burned, right?
Yes.
That would get anybody upset. So one of the early feedback that I got from the books was you saved me from buying fakes. Because a lot of times people don't remember, before the internet, before just being able to look up everything, most of the time for like the Hess stuff, especially the rarities, you got it from a toy show. And you kind of basically had to trust that guy behind the chair to tell you, yeah, no, this is real. So there's been a lot of people that have gotten burnt. So the information now, especially what's in the book, that's years and years worth of
I've definitely referenced the book many times, looking at stuff online, thinking, man, is this real? Is it not? It's very, very helpful. This is kind of gloom and doom, but God forbid something happened to you. What's going to happen with your collection?
I would like to think my daughters, I don't have a son, I'd like to think my daughters will keep some. What's interesting is so there's the main trucks, there's the minis, and then there's the plush. So the plush really works out well because each of my daughters has one on their bed. So that'll always be there, right? It's a stuffed animal, basically. Sure. The minis, they each have a couple of minis because they're easy to store and they come in their own little box or whatever. The bigger trucks, I think they know which ones were most important to me, especially the one that reminds me of my dad. I can't expect them to, keep it forever. But funny you should mention that. I have, in my garage, I have the second largest Hess sign made, right? And it goes on the wall. And that thing, it requires 2-3 people. I bought another one that's smaller because that's something that somebody can take with them. So when eventually that time comes and there's a memory of me, at least the smaller one, smaller, it's still 6 feet wide, but at least that somebody can put on a wall or something. I don't know. I would like to think we all want to be remembered. And my first daughter, my older daughter, Summer, who's now 16, has had the lasting memories and experience of sharing a lot of Hess things with me. She was with me when CBS News interviewed me. We went to the Hess Museum. She was with me when I did a lot of the toy shows, when I did the book signings. She was there. She has that. The one thing that I actually want to hopefully change is my younger daughter. She was born in 2013. I have one picture of her. She's a couple months old, and there's a Hess station behind her, and that station closed in 2 months. So she never got to experience anything like Hess with me. And when you have more than one child, you want to treat them equal, right? So it's really important to me to give her something special. So when Speedway took over and they had their trucks, for the first 5 years, I bought her a truck, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's sacrilege." It wasn't. It was just to give her a tradition,
Exactly. That's the important thing.
If she grows up with Daddy buying her a Speedway truck, it's going to have the same emotional impact as Summer growing up, Daddy buying her a Hess truck, right? And then Speedway went out. So I don't, and now there's not too many meetups or book signings, or whatever. So I guess what I'm hoping for, my daughter now, she just turned 9. She's kind of in that age range where if I had a wish, I would really like to get her to take her to New York and have her as a background extra in one of the Hess commercials.
That'd be cool.
They always have the kids lined up and they have the truck and the Hess truck's back.
Of course.
Although I have been getting a little worried because now when you see the new they're more CGI and less kids.
Yes.
It used to be there'd be a whole bunch of kids, then there was 2 rows of kids, and then in the last one there's 1 row of kids. And at some point you're starting to wonder, I hope they don't all go CGI, right? So I'm hoping one day maybe that dream could come true, because that way it'll give her something that would be special to her. And Summer, she's 16 now. She's out of that age range, so it's not like she could ever say, "Daddy, why didn't you want me?" Oh, it's not that I didn't want you. You were out of the age range that they use. To me, as a dad, it feels like it would be the perfect way to give Katie some of that magic without taking anything away from Summer. Sure. So that's I don't know how I got there. I went off on a tangent, but
I can't imagine.
That's how
the whole. How's the collection going to get passed down?
Oh, yes.
I had my son here last August, and he had never seen my collection because he lives in St. Louis. And being down in Florida here, we walked through, and I asked him, I says, "Nick, one of these days, something's going to happen. Do you want to keep all of this stuff?" He said he'd be honored. So that was pretty pleasant, pretty nice to hear.
Nice.
So he's pretty thrilled. So he's kind of hoping for me to go away so he can get the Hess collection.
That's a lot of, I can't wait to do a little walk around. We got a lot of of toys here.
One section you have in there is the Hess Customs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm intrigued by a lot of the customs because they aren't your run-of-the-mill cutting cookie cutter type trucks. Do you see a lot of new ones coming out, or have you heard of a lot of new custom trucks coming? And I'm also looking forward to now that we've got the 2022, the 2023 is coming up.
In my older editions, in my older books, especially the newsletters, there's a lot more customs, right? I had to reduce the page count to make everything fit. So I ended up going with just the best of the best of the best.
Sure.
Okay. So there's interesting customs. So there are customs that were done by Mickey Harwood, the Hess submarine on the flatbed O scale. This was professionally done. It's got pad printing on there. It looks like it's real. It's not. It's fake. But that is the highest. Then there's chrome customs where the truck was sent off. I always wanted a chrome of the 1975. So that I sent the pieces and it was professionally chromed for me and then reassembled. So that's a custom. Sometimes people, like this guy Billy, he'll put together customs of a season's greeting truck. similar to what Texaco does a great job on their season's greetings trucks, on their Christmas trucks. He also did a custom of a Jets tanker, if that was the case. Also, the fire rescue truck, which is a real truck. So that's different levels of custom. John Howard did an absolute amazing Voyager. I mean, this thing was taken apart. Not only that, he did the stand. So he had every piece done, but then also added the correct labels or the correct logos and stickers back on, which is important. So there's many different ways to custom. You can slapdash things. You can have it professionally chromed. You can have it professionally produced, which is a no-no, but that, nobody's doing that. So the customs, and then also, like, for example, there's a couple of customs that I did where I think I previously mentioned about adding lights. Now, again, this is about 10 years ago, right? So I added LED lights for the rear of the 70 pumper, LEDs for the front. For the tanker, I added LED white lights plus amber turn signal lights, if you will, the rear, and then also the cab. Cab didn't have lights. So there's many different levels. Now, the apotheosis of that, if you want to take it to the next level, there was a guy named Bill who years ago, he made, these things, we're talking emerald chrome, gold chrome, silver, red chrome. He made me a custom blue, metallic, gold, metallic, silver metallic Wilco tanker that I have. Sure. I absolutely love that thing. So there's many different levels. So as far as customs go in the book, I tend to show the ones that have gone above and beyond, Behind us, there's a lot of amazing customs, some of them where it's like baked paint, some of them there's just stickers. There's many different levels. But as far as customs go, again, I've lost track. I lost track of the question, but yes, I do see a lot of customs, and I do really, I love a good custom.
And they're neat. I love really add something.
And when I had more time, I used to tinker around, and I'd have I'd have all my light bulbs here, and I loved wiring the lights and really getting into the intricacies of taking it apart. I was that kid that always took something apart.
Got to see how it worked.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What year was it did Hess come out with LED lights in them?
Well, funny thing about that, the very, very, very first time that Hess used an LED light was actually in 1992 for the Porsche Racer. If you open that up, there's a tiny little LED light that was used either for space or cost consideration. But as far as LEDs going all LED, I think 2015. Actually, no. There's a common misconception. 2016 is the first all truck and accessory vehicle to be LEDs. On the 2015, the truck is all LEDs, but because the secondary truck was actually designed years prior, that uses standard incandescent bulbs. So the first truck to go completely all LED on the normal line is the 2016. And then I believe the collector's edition, I'm having a brain moment, I would have to look at it. Let me see. The first collector's 2014. I'm drawing a blank. I can't tell you offhand.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't tell you offhand if it's all LEDs. I know they have the lights at the bottom, which are amazing. I cannot recall.
The ones with the LEDs, do the batteries last longer?
So, except for this 2014, yes, but now they use smaller batteries.
Okay, so
counteracts it. But I've never had anybody in all my years. I've never ever had anybody say, "Oh, the batteries run out fast." They use energizers. They always have. You'll never hear a kid complain, "I ran out." Usually, it's the parents that get sick of hearing the thing long before the battery actually runs out on any of the Hess trucks.
Talking about the batteries. Guys, get online. I've got a brand new early Hess truck for sale, never been out of the box. Everybody's first question is, did you take the batteries out?
Right.
Is there any specific year that's better or worse for the corrosion or the, because they really mess the truck up. Destroy it.
So here's what's really crazy. I have a video on my YouTube page where I open a 20-year-old box of sealed minis, right? And it was weird. In the box, there were a bunch of trucks that were as mint as the day you bought them. Battery didn't work, but it didn't leak. But in that same case, there were about a third were completely destroyed and exposed, and I had to throw the truck out.
Sure.
About a third, if you removed the battery and cleaned it out, the truck was fine, but it didn't work anymore. And then there was a third that you put fresh batteries and it works. Now this is all in the same case, about this size. I have no explanation. I have no explanation why some would work, some worked with repair, and some were completely destroyed. And they were all identical batteries. So I have no idea. There's no rhyme or reason. But as far as taking batteries, if you've got cases that are still sealed and batteries are in them, there's a good chance that easy half that case or more is going to be damaged beyond the point of repair.
So good word of advice. You get your truck, you play with it, You run the lights for a while, you take the batteries out,
Yep.
and put it away if
Yep.
you're going to keep it for collection.
Absolutely.
Take the batteries out.
Yeah, and all the new ones, not only does it come with batteries, they come pre-installed.
Sure.
So, but that's easy. You just, open it up and take them out. So, yeah, no, you always want to store. And what's funny is finally on like the new Hess boxes, now they finally started saying a couple of years ago, hey, why not remove batteries for long-term storage? Because there are people that are always going to say, oh, I didn't know. Nobody told me.
I can relate. I bought a few trucks myself. I opened them up and I thought, oh boy, this is a mess.
So, there's a guy on YouTube. The way you clean the corrosion is with like some baking soda and an old toothbrush. Here's something that I get a lot of questions at. The guy's name is the 8-bit guy, and he does this thing called retrobrighting, where he'll take like plastic, like computers or whatever from the 80s that have yellowed over time. And I always get the people, how do I re-whiten a Hess truck?
Sure.
His whole retrobrighting process, and I definitely suggest looking it up. I personally tried it only once or twice. It didn't work for me, but I don't think I gave it the attention it needs because it has to do with UV light, and you pour this chemical, and you let the, here's another thing too, you got to take the truck apart. But he has great success record with that. So if you watch that retrobrighting 8-bit guy, he'll show you how he does it. He'll show you the chemical. You do have to take your truck apart though, because obviously you don't want to, mix any water in any electronics. But if I had more time, I would do it or attempt to do it again. But he seems to have great success with that.
Are there any other color Hess trucks other than the white and the red and the green? Because I have one myself that is really yellow all the way through. Is that a factory Hess truck, or is that just something to turn yellow?
So here is the lowdown on yellow trucks. Okay, Hess never made a yellow truck. There are no yellow trucks. Yellow is bad. There's no way around it. I see it on rare yellow. No. Here's how it actually works. My friend's father is a biochemist, and he explains to me how the off-gassing works. Now, this is going to blow your mind. This is from a guy who he designed the molecular structure in baby diapers to allow the liquid to go in one direction but not the other. That's the level we're talking, right? We're talking Doc Brown. In your Hess trucks, if you really want to make sure that it doesn't yellow. Now, first of all, a lot of yellowing comes from ultraviolet light, okay? So it always says keep in a dark, cool place. Yes, that's true, okay? It still can get yellow. Have you ever opened up a box and there's certain parts that are yellow?
Yes.
Okay. Those are the parts that actually touched the cardboard itself. There's a chemical that's on the box itself that it off-gasses and interacts with the plastic. So it's actually the box itself sometimes. Now, if the whole entire thing is a uniform yellow, that's just UV and atmosphere or whatever. But if there's only certain parts, because one of my favorite trucks is the 2002 truck with the biplane. I love that ultra-modern, classic, love it. I opened one, yeah. So certain years, glad you brought that up. 2001, 2002, 2003. Those 3 years, high propensity to yellow. Now,
box problem, plastic problem.
It's a combination of both. Yeah. Combination of both. Also, 1987, 86, 87, and 88 were also known for chrome discoloration. They called it gold. That's not done on purpose. Hess never made a gold truck, but when the discoloration is aesthetically pleasing, now it becomes a rarity.
Uniform, too,
yes.
the discoloring. Because I've got a couple that do have the gold grill or
yes.
the gold gas tanks. Uniform color.
Not always, though. I have a picture in the book of a couple of trucks where one piece was totally gold and one piece wasn't.
Okay,
and it came off of the same truck. So it doesn't always do that. So, but certain years have certain things, like also 1982 and 84. And technically 1980 use a real brittle type of plastic. So, when you know the history of the trucks, throughout the almost 60 years, there are certain times when, either manufacturing or, just through happenstance, certain things, you find certain patterns.
Or better, and they change it and decide, well, maybe it's not better. Let's go back to the old school.
Yeah. And when they're making a truck, they're making it for that holiday season for kids to enjoy. They're not putting time and effort into saying, oh, let's make this truck last 20, 30 years. It is a toy truck. Where would you like to see the fandom go?
Just a little bit that I know, it seemed like the base has decreased the short time that I've been a collector. I really try my best to try to intrigue and show my collection off, hopefully making people feel that's pretty neat. I want to try that myself. I want to get some new ones. I'm going to try to start collecting them now from year on, the 23s, the 24s. And I just try to do my best to throw out different things to help people become intrigued with the collecting of the Hess.
They're playing devil's advocate. There's actually a flip side to that. the P's and the Q's, the less that's out there, the more valuable things become.
Sure.
You know, a lot of times, something that I get every toy show, every meeting, every time I'm interacting with fans, I always get those people that are like, oh, I destroyed him when I was a kid. You know, I played with it. Well, first of all, yeah, you played with it. That's why you have the love to begin with. If you never played with it as a kid, you wouldn't have that love. You wouldn't be here. That's a logical fallacy right there, right? But if you think about it, if all those people didn't destroy their trucks, then the ones that have survived wouldn't be the value that they are today. I mean, you have people spending thousands of dollars on a single truck. Hello, hello, hello. You know what I'm saying? So if you look at it that way, the value it is today is because, A, it's a combination of people that played with it and loved it and destroyed them.
Yes, they did.
There's like 3 Facebook sites that you take part in.
Sure. I've been trying since early June to make a weekly post, hopefully to get more people interested in the actual collecting of it. It is the Hess and Wilco site, the Nationwide, and the Vintage.
Gotcha.
Hess Truck Collectors. I think there's also a Pennsylvania. That all 3 sites I try to, like I say, make a weekly post with something that is new or something that different and intriguing. Yeah, I like the wow factor.
We definitely have a lot of wow factor here, that's for sure. That is definitely for sure. Anything else?
Very good, sir.
Are we going to take a look at the toys now?
Let's do.
We're going to get a tour?
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
Very good. I think up here, we'll see first is our Chotsky table. We've got a few odds and ends on there, from anything you can imagine to anything you can imagine. Mostly all Hess stuff. Me and Debbie have collected it now for about 2.5 years, and I think we got a good start. A few of our tailor-made trucks. Nice display of Ertl trucks.
Metal.
Metal Ertl, yes. All die cast. This one up here is kind of an odds and end. Hess, Ertl, Eddie's garage and shop, and right now we're standing at 20 neon signs. I couldn't even imagine how many Hess trucks, both the standard white plastic trucks and the chrome and clear specialty trucks that we have right now. I just lost count.
And a couple of good books on display too.
And some darn nice books back in the back, as you see next to, in the clock department and paperweight department. Up here, just a few odds and ends that we had that hasn't been unboxed or displayed. This is the Danbury Mint trucks, and there's one other mint I can't remember. There's another mint.
Got it.
Up above, there's all SSR collectibles, radio controlled, battery operated. This is the boss's desk with all his toys on there. I don't know, did you get the upper?
I'm doing it now.
Okay, flashing. And to conclude our tour is our custom trucks by Murphy. And that's Kevin Murphy, a good friend of mine, with a brand new Hess Chrome truck that I just acquired from a very good friend, Mike Roberto.